The marriage ended, but the mistake started the very first week that we met. Yesterday's mistakes, real stories. When we met, everything felt so perfect. It was as if it was just the perfect moment. Everything was aligned. He spoke to me with lovely words. He treated me kindly. Actually, it was a close relative of mine that had introduced us. Mind you, we were only talking on the phone. We had never seen each other face to face. So he came under the guise of a pastor that wanted to pray for me, to help me. So I opened up to him and he started praying for me, assuring me that everything was going to be okay. So before I knew it, we started spending long hours on the phone. And then he told me he was in love with me. Oh, wow. I was surprised because I wasn't expecting that. I didn't see it coming. But then we started talking all the love stories, falling in love. Mind you, this is just barely a month into the relationship. And so he started talking to me. We were talking. He called me late in the night. He will call me early in the morning. He will call me anytime, and we'll spend quite some time together talking on the phone. And I just felt this was my perfect match. But bit by bit, I started seeing some cracks in the wall, but did not really pay attention to it. I realized that whenever we had tension or a misunderstanding, he wasn't the type to say sorry. He wouldn't say sorry, even though he said he was a pastor. And I kind of just overlooked it because I thought, okay, well, he is a man of God. And the one thing that I noticed is that he made me feel like I didn't know how to pray. I wasn't such a good Christian as he was. He made me believe that I needed to depend on him for my prayers to be answered. This thing that happened gradually. She was just cajoling me, telling me words. Me that we used to be very confident in my walk with God. But the moment I started talking with him, I felt like I knew nothing because of the way he made me feel. He made me feel like I knew nothing. He made me feel like I had not begun. So, and as I said, there were moments that we'll argue, that we'll have conflict, we'll argue, and he could go for days. He would not talk to me. I would call him and he wouldn't answer. Remember, this is just like a month and a half into the relationship. We had not met. We were only talking on the phone. But there were some cracks already in the wall. But then he would come and he would apologize. And I would give in. Here we are all humans. Everybody made mistakes. So gradually, he lured me in. I was already in anyway from the way he spoke to me. He asked me he wanted to marry me and I said yes because I didn't see that coming. But I wasn't expecting it and it happened. So before I knew it, he convinced me that I needed to travel to come to his country to see him for us to get married. I confided in some close friends who warned me that they didn't think that this was a good idea. You're going to go and get married to somebody you've never seen. But I thought, yeah, but I feel this is from God. God is in need. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? So I ignored all the cracks that I saw in the wall. I ignored all the warnings from my friends and headed to this different country. And I met him. When I met him, it felt okay. We felt like, yeah, we connected. We fell in love. Everything was fine. And so that very first week that we met, we put together everything and we got married. And I had just one more week there for the honeymoon. After that 1 week, I had to fly back home. So in reality, we only spent 2 weeks together, face to face. But from there, we kept on talking on the phone, and he wanted to move to where I was. He was in a third world country, so to say, and he wanted to move to the Western world where I was. And so he started pestering me for us to process our documents, but I wasn't yet a citizen in that country, and he didn't know that. In fact, he never asked. It didn't occur in the conversation. He assumed that I was already a citizen, but I wasn't. It never occurred to me to tell him because he never asked. I thought, okay, we're in love. What's the point talking about all of this? But now we are married. This is like 4 months into the relationship. I met him, and we got married, and I came back to my country, and now he's trying to join me. But there is a problem. Yes, you guess it. You guess it right. He couldn't come because I wasn't yet settled. So there was no way for him to be granted visa for somebody that was not yet a permanent resident. He was disappointed. He began showing his true colors. He started speaking all kind of negative words to me, insulting me, that I had lied to him, that I deceived him. And I wonder, who is actually the deceiver here? You came to me. You are the one who told me you wanted to marry me. I wasn't even thinking of it. You are the one who actually told me you needed me to help you with money, and I did. I've been supporting you from the very first time that we met. I've been the one that's been pouring in money in this relationship. You are the one that had plans to move over. And then now that things are not working, now that you're meeting all this bottleneck, you are telling me that I deceived you. How did I deceive you? And so from there, it was one problem after another. And he said, sorry, there is no way that he can continue with his marriage because it was done under deception. Here I was, faced with a divorce. Been barely married for about a year now. A year that we haven't seen each other. Barely married for about a year, actually 8 months. We have only seen each other once, and that one time was for us to get married. And in that time, we only stayed together for 2 weeks. But right now, I'm being handed divorce papers. The marriage that should never have happened. I was heartbroken because I never expected this. I thought God would actually make a way for him to come. He was a Christian and he fears God. I'm a Christian, I fear God. I thought there would be a miracle somehow that he would join me. But his true colors began to show the moment he wasn't able to come. He started talking very disrespectfully to me. He started insulting me. He changed. And I saw that this was not the person I thought I knew. But think of it, there was no time for me to really know him, considering the short space of time that we met. So, looking back, there were moments that didn't sit right. Like I said, going for days without talking, arguing on the phone, constantly before we got married. And this is somebody I had not seen face to face. I told myself, maybe just a matter of time, things will work out. And to make things worse, one of his pastors, some of these pastors, we have to be careful, really. Be careful who you listen to. One of his pastors, when I complained that we continuously argued and all of that on the phone, he told me if a couple came to him that they wanted to get married and they had never had a fight, like an argument, a serious argument, he would tell them, go. I'm I'm not going to bless this marriage because you have not known how to handle conflict. How are you going to handle conflict when you get married? So that was something that made me to think that the arguments were okay. But it actually helped to derail me even more and more, because those are some of the things that I could have seen and realized that it wasn't right. And I could have just take a step back to sit and think if this was actually okay. But and that was his pastor convinced me that no, it's all right. We need to argue so that we can know how to handle those things in marriage. I'm not saying that people cannot argue in their relationship. They can, but when it becomes too predominant, too common, too frequent, then it's something to sit back and look. And mind you, we were not staying together. Mind you, we're not yet married. Mind you, we were just talking over the phone and we had not yet met each other. So how would it be then if we were staying under the same roof? The marriage ended. Barely. Stayed with him for 2 weeks. That was the only time that we met. And here I was, handed with a divorce paper, leaving me heartbroken, leaving me emotionally shattered, leaving me financially drained. Yesterday's mistakes. What do you think? If you found yourself in my shoes, what do you think you could have done differently? Please put it down in the comment. What would you have done differently? This is yesterday's mistakes, where we learn at other people's mistakes so that we do not commit the same mistake. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Bye-bye. And I would say the mistake wasn't getting married. It wasn't that we got married. The mistake was that we rushed into it without knowing each other. The mistake is that I allowed my emotions to cloud my thinking, making me to ignore the cracks in the wall. So if you were in my shoes, what would you have done differently? Please put your comments below. Thank you.